It's figuring out in a 2-second pitch how your brand and your product fits in with what they want.
But you've got 25 to 30 seconds in that introduction, and it needs to come off like silk.
What I wanted to know is, what are the tips and any advice that you have in your elevator pitch when sales reps are hitting bars or retail accounts? What's your take on that?
The number one thing that I would always say is, from a recommendation standpoint, is do your research. You really have to be aware. If you're just walking into somewhere and you're unconscious of what they're trying to deliver, the product they're trying to sell, the level of service they're trying to attain, and the level of products that they are using as part of their portfolio, then you're already setting yourself up to fail. The most important thing is do your research. Does your brand fit? Does your pricing fit? Does your support package fit what they're after as well? That's the most important thing. And then after that, I would say that there are a series of things to do afterwards. But first and foremost, do your research. Don't just walk in and go, we could work, we could not.
So basically, you want to make sure you qualify the account, right? Where your brand is a perfect fit. Otherwise, just don't waste your time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and don't waste their time, more importantly.
Yeah, exactly. You're wasting. I mean, this is it. I have a saying that I use all the time, and that is the juice worth the squeeze? If you are going to apply your time, your budgets, your investment of everything of the above, make sure it's worth both of your times. You want it to be an equitable relationship.
Fair enough. So let's go on the exact pitch here, right? So you're walking in the bar. What's the best way to introduce yourself personally, and then what you're doing, right? Like, what's your thing when you hit the bars, let's say?
Well, actually, what I do is not only will I have done my research, but I'll also go in and I will be a customer first. And what that allows you to do, in my opinion, is actually not only be privy to the service and also just be privy to what their offering is, but also it means that as a paying customer, they can't tell you to go away.
Yeah. So you go there trying to build a rapport and analyze a store, do your homework, but then there will be a point that, do you say that, hey, I'm Rob, by the way, I'm from
I do the research. I go in. I will actually, if it's a bar, I'll buy a drink. I'll sit down. I'll take in what's going on. I should have already identified the key figures, whether it be the head bartender, the bar manager, or the food and beverage manager. LinkedIn and Instagram are very, very useful tools. And if you're not using them as part of your research, then you're missing a trick, because everybody's online these days and everybody wants you to know where they are and what they're doing. So you can already have, theoretically, you should already have names and the positions of who you want to speak to, so that when you go in, you to speak to, say, for instance, I got Dukes over the line this year, and they're one of our customers now, and everybody already knows Alessandro, but it was also about making sure that I knew who Maurizio was and Enrico, so that obviously Alessandro makes all the decisions, but he will also confer to Enrico and Maurizio about everything. So if I didn't know who they were, already I'm being disrespectful to his management team by not knowing who they are to have the relevant conversation.
So what's the pitch, right? Like, let's say you say, hey, I'm looking for Enrique, for example, or John, let's say, right? And then, hey, I'm John. So then you're going to say, hey, I'm Rob from Pottsville. I just want to talk about my brand. What's the exact thing that has worked for you?
So it's figuring out in a 2-second pitch how your brand and your product fits in with what they want. And we're very lucky as an English whiskey distillery, because 99.9% of bars do not have an English whiskey. They will have whiskey from Ireland, from America, from Scotland, obviously, but they won't have an English whiskey. So immediately I say, I'm from
So you use that as a trigger, right? Like, hey, English whiskey here. Got it.
Immediately. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think the takeaway is find those triggers, which they don't have. Find the gap and then start with that, maybe.
Look, again, that's part of your research. Read their menus. Look at who they're working with and what they have. Do they have a whiskey list? If they do they have an English whiskey list? Find your niche, find your gap, find where you fit. Do you actually have a part? Can you be a part of what they're offering and actually add equity and value to what they're offering? Because if you don't, then you're already going wrong. But if they do have something that's pretty well curated and you can tell that they've actually put some time and effort into what they're doing from our point of view, which is whiskey, position yourself where you can be a benefit to them.
Got it. So when, let's say the person the buyer is telling, okay, Rob, yeah, what you've got, right? Tell me, pitch me. So what do you cover in your next 5 minutes? The pricing band straight to the target, or you go like, we've come from this beautiful region, our grandfather started it. What's your next 5 minutes?
So the next 5 minutes after you're established who you are and that you are of value to them is then to establish that you are not only creating everything with provenance and quality, so that you're giving them insurances that you're doing things correctly, but then also after that, it's then again reinforcing that through these points of quality production, you can be a part of what they're doing. The details of pricing, logistics, getting things on the bar, timelines, that's the stuff that you clean up with at the very end. That's the stuff. You got to get them on the hook first, and by that, you've got to get them on the hook of who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Once you're there and they're in, then you get a verbal agreement, and from that, the handshake, and then the cleanup. The cleanup is basically right, I'll send you over the pricing, I'll send you over the minimum order quantities, or I'll send you over the route to market distribution. I'll connect with your rep who works with the wholesaler so that they're aware that you're going to be placing an order and putting a new product on the list as well. So it's not only about that initial pitch and then the actual introduction. It's about say what you'll do what you say, and clean up so that they've got a little to no work to do. If you're giving people in that scenario more work to do by taking on your product, already they don't want to know.
Yeah, I like that. I think convenience offering is always a good idea from the representative perspective, including getting a hot coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's an old school paradigm, but it's like courting, and you very much have to put in the initial work, and you have to make sure that you're gaining someone's trust, you're gaining their confidence. And as I say what you'll do what you say. What's
your sort of hack? Have you got any, like when I sold my wine, I used to say, hey, Rob's wine store has it, they just got it last week. Is there anything that you use for eyebrows to go up? Yeah, affiliation and association. So whenever I'm in London, having dukes on the list of people that instantly. So you have a prestigious account and you use that as your sort of thing. Yeah, because that gives them confidence immediately that they're making the right choice. Agreed.
So for instance, for me, if I was a district manager over, let's say, the state of Florida, and I was walking into an account and meeting the buyer for the first time, I would shake their hand and say, hi, I'm Jason Steffens. I'm district manager for Deutsch Family Wine and Spirits for the state of Florida. I'm tasked with building relationships with the top 100 on-premise accounts in the state. I just wanted to come in and talk to you today to see if it makes sense for us to do business. So within 20 seconds, my name, my title, right? Who am I? If I have brands that they might recognize, like I might say, you might recognize me from such brands as Josh Cellars, Yellowtail, Gray Whale, Gin, Cantera Negra, Tequila, and Redemption Whiskey. If that's going to help you, drop a couple of brands that you sell if you have market penetration. But you've got 25 to 30 seconds in that introduction, and it needs to come off like silk.